Hi everyone, Ricky here. Back for another video today for the first time in a few months. Today we're going to be ranking uh, the tracks from the latest Seether album, The Surface Seems So Far. Now, I just want to say right off the bat that this may be Seether's most consistent album, and it's funny because actually tonally it's very consistent and kind of follows the same themes and stuff. What I mean is in terms of quality, it has some of the highest highs in their discography, but also some of the lowest lows. So, as a whole cohesive effort, I'm a little disappointed with the album. It's not as good as Parabellum. I was expecting this to sort of be a continuation of that. But with that said, I am glad the album's made because I can cherry pick five or six really five pretty cool songs that if they just came out with an EP of, it would be like the best work ever. But we're going to talk about that today. And if you stick with me to the end, I'm going to be doing a ranking of their entire discography as well. So let me just share my screen here. Um, and real quick as well, I want to give a shout out to, the Reddit community for Seether, the subreddit, in which I'm a moderator for. We just added a brand new moderator. Goes by the username of Cinnamon Spider. She's really cool. I just met her in person at the last Seether concert I attended on September 20th. Which was a great show. It was awesome to hear Judas Mind live. Speaking of Judas Mind, let's start here with this ranking. So we're gonna add a couple here, just like I did last time. This top row here indicates that it's in my top 5 favorite Seether songs of all time. We're adding an F tier for this as well. We'll get to that. All right, so right off the bat, Judas Mind is officially my second favorite Seether song of all time now, just behind No Jesus Christ, because, No Jesus Christ is a complete masterpiece, and that will always be my favorite. But this song blew me away on initial listen. If you all remember the teaser they put out on July 1st for it, of the bridge section, I truly believe that was going to be the chorus. So, um, this is just an amazing song. There's so much to love here. The main riff and then the lead guitar accompanying it is some of their best lead guitar work ever, I think. The lyrics are on point. I love the chorus and how uplifting and optimistic it is about the "Don't be afraid as the storm blows this way, truth can't fail us," all that stuff. Sean puts in a really good vocal performance. The bridge in particular is probably my favorite individual section of any Seether song ever. They just really stepped up to the plate on this one. It's too bad the rest of the album isn't really like this, because to me this sounds like a natural progression from Sivas Park and Parabellum. What we ended up getting as a whole is more of a continuation of that like isolate and medicate sound, and that's my least favorite Seether album. So to see them kind of going back to some of those songwriting methods that were present on that album, that really sucks for me personally. But I know a lot of people are loving the album, so I don't want to take anything away from you if you're enjoying it. At the very least, I love Judas Mind. Great choice for a lead single, very ballsy choice, especially you got some other songs on here like Walls Come Down or Lost All Control that easily could have been the first single. They're more like radio friendly and accessible and stuff, but Judas Mind, they went with. And another thing I want to talk about real quick is just how how far Seether has fallen in terms of you know like relevancy and stuff. The latest album here, The Surface Seems So Far, only hit number 138 on the Billboard Hot 200, which is pitiful. Even Parabellum hit number 37, like 100 spots higher. This is a band that had a number 2 album in 2011 with Holding On to Strings, so they don't get as much radio airplay anymore. The music video for Judas Mind hasn't even cracked 1 million views, so I get they're on an independent label now, but it's just sad to see their the lack of popularity these days and stuff. But yeah, I can't praise Judas Mind enough. Amazing song. moving forward to Illusion here. I'd give Illusion a solid A. It's a really good song, one of the best songs on the album, I think. Um, I wasn't thrilled with it at first, to be quite honest. There's a few problems with the song, um, which I guess we'll talk about that first. The verses, the melody in the verses, the vocal melody, um, is kind of weak. It reminds me of like a Creed song, and it's kind of off-putting. But I've gotten past it just because the instrumental in the verses is just like it's fucking peak Seether. It's awesome shit. So um, I'm cool with Illusion now. The chorus is great. The bridge is awesome with those screams. It's just a heavy ass awesome Seether song with some nice atmospheric elements reminiscent of bands like Deftones and A Perfect Circle. So this to me reminds me of a Parabellum song and stuff. These two songs are a great way to kick off the album. Um, good lyrics and stuff. Um, Probably one of their heaviest songs ever, to be quite honest. And it's really grown on me. So yeah, Illusion, wicked cool song. Here we're gonna get into some of the bad, unfortunately, starting with Beneath the Veil, which is it's not like the worst thing ever. I'll put it in D tier. There's a few things I like about it. I do like the verses. That little ambient intro is cool. It reminds me of something they would have done on like Finding Beauty in Negative Spaces, or even their Fragile album from 2000. Um, I'm not really impressed with the lyrics here. Everything feels kind of bare bones. The biggest problem with this song, I think, is it is the song. Well, it's the only song on the album that's not in drop C. It's in drop D flat, like a lot of the Parabellum songs were. And to me, this song just kind of feels like old news already. It reminds me so much of Failure and Drift Away from the last album, which I would consider the two weakest songs on Parabellum by far. The only songs, and Bruised and Bloody, those three songs I didn't absolutely love, but the other 18 songs as part of the deluxe edition, all completely amazing. But Beneath the Veil, I can forgive Failure and Drift Away a little bit more. I think in my last video I put them both in C tier, which feels appropriate. But this song is worse. The chorus is horrendous. That little bit of feedback right before the chorus is just so grating to the ears. I don't mind feedback, and like on Poison the Parish, they use feedback all the time. Songs like Take a Minute, Count Me Out, Saviors, even. But this is an instance of it not working. I don't like the vocals here. Um, the only thing I really do like in this song is the quieter, more ambient parts and stuff, and some of the guitar work in the verses is pretty good. But I would consider this one of the weaker songs on the album for sure. Um, let's see what do we got here. Semblance of Me. Um, it's not great, to be honest. I would put it in like a low C tier. It's to me, this is one of the most like forgettable songs Seether's ever made. Now, granted, the lyrics are pretty good, and I do like the bridge section where, he says, "I'll just fucking break this," but it's it kind of comes out of nowhere. It doesn't really v- jive with the rest of the song. Once again, the song has a bad chorus. The Seether bad chorus syndrome continues, and it's all over this album, sadly. Um, it's not particularly bad. It's just extremely forgettable. Like I'll never listen to it. It's not even on my Spotify playlist, and I have like 100, over 100 Seether songs, almost every song in the discography. But um, yeah, I can tell like some effort was put into it. It's just not for me. I'm not really feeling this one. Again, not bad, but like forgettable. Walls Come Down. I'm just gonna be straightforward right now and say that I think this is the worst song in their entire discography. Is that harsh? Maybe, but it's the truth, and it's but at least my truth. It's my subjective opinion. This song, I've been seeing on Reddit people compare it to Tonight. I think Tonight's a way better song, much better songwriting. This song feels very generic and poppy, and I love upbeat music. I love pop music, but it feels really contrived in this instance. Um, Instrumentally, it's nothing to write home about. I think Sean sounds terrible vocally here. This sounds like a Holding On to Strings or Isolate and Medicate reject. Um, I you know, at least for me, I think it's pretty insulting that this song ended up on the album when on Parabellum we got 21 awesome songs of great quality. I didn't think they were putting shit out like this anymore. Even Poison the Parish, which isn't my favorite album ever, there was nothing on it that made me like roll my eyes like this. Like it's just I think it's just a terrible track. But I know a lot of people like it, so I'm not trying to like be an asshole. It's just how I feel about it. All right. Try to Heal really grew on me, and other than Judas Mind, it's my favorite song on the album. It's going right next tier. In fact, I would go as far as to say that now it's in my top 10 all-time favorite Seether songs. It has really made a strong impression on me more recently, and I'm sure at some point, early 2025, I'll be doing a re-ranking of all Seether songs and stuff. So we'll talk more about it then as well. But um, this song just has so much I like. It is so well structured, and you can tell so much love and care was put into it. Um, and it, after putting these three songs in a row is a very bad idea because they're, for the most part, the worst tracks on the album, and it really just messed up the pacing and stuff. But this song here, "Try to Heal," it starts with a great riff, very creative riff. Um, it's got some of the same notes that Judas Mind and Illusion do for their main riffs, but I think the "Try to Heal" one's the best out of the three for the opening riff anyway. Um, I love the electronic drums they use, the trip hop style drums. That's got to be a first for Seether. Um, so that's cool. Um, I love the juxtaposition of heaviness in the intro and then the vulnerability lyrically and vocally in the verses. And then with the chorus, I didn't like it much at first, but it's really grown on me. It's simple but melodic, and I love the lyrics on it. It's making so much sense to me now. It's tragic because it felt so real. This ending is its own beginning. Now I can finally try to heal. Simple, straightforward, but just true to life and really resonating right now. The bridge section is awesome. The build up where he's like saying this is just an epitaph and you'll never own me, all that stuff. Um, I love the guitar in that part, and then those screams where he's screaming "I fall down." Um, it reminds it's those were not like typical Seether screams. I would compare it to a song like "Empty" from Fragile, where rather than screams from anger, a place of anger, and it's more just uncontrollable cries of despair, and you can really feel the desperation in his voice and stuff. So um, if even if they went right back into the third chorus after that bridge, it would still be an amazing song. But the fact that right before the third chorus, they have like a little bridge section of like a clean guitar lead, and it just sounds gorgeous, and it's one of my favorite moments on the album. It's very subtle, but um, just a great song all around. Very focused on emotion lyrically and instrumentally, and yeah, this is a really good one. All right, now we got Paint the World. Wow, we have a song in every tier here because this is going in B. Um, you know, it's not like my favorite thing that they've ever done, but it's a solid song. I do enjoy it. The best part of the section, as is typical with a lot of Seether songs, is the bridge, the screams, and then the I don't even know all the lyrics yet, but where he's like singing "We float like the river," whatever he's saying. It's that section. It reminds me a little bit of the "Cross the Line" bridge. Um, that song where he's like, "I'm a slave to the wind and the water." I love when Sean gets like defiant like that vocally and stuff and rebellious. I think it's so badass. Um, the verses are cool, a little bit haunting. Um, chorus is all right. I think it's repeated a little bit too much. I think if they dialed it back a little bit and didn't feature it so prominently in the song, I'd like it more. It gets a little repetitive by the end. And that little pre-chorus section where he says "Here comes the schism," that's not a good vocal. So there's some problems in the song, but I think it has more strengths and weaknesses, and I consider it one of the more enjoyable ones. Same mistakes can go right there with "Walls Come Down" as one of their worst songs ever, probably their second worst song ever. I'll put it ahead of "Walls Come Down." It's you know, at least with Walls Come Down, I can see the appeal and why people would like it. To me, this song just sounds like Seether AI. It's like a mix of like Crash and Count Me Out and you know stuff like that. It's the bridge has some of the worst guitar work I've ever heard in Seether's discography. Very unimaginative. The lyrics are okay, but I don't really care if it sounds bad. I'm never gonna come back to it. It just it just sounds like it was put together so haphazardly. Like I can't even believe it's on the album. This wouldn't pass for a B-side on any Seether album. It's just um, I'm in disbelief that these two, especially that we only got 11 tracks and these two are part of it and they're worthless songs. So if you ask me, we really just got 9 tracks. So it is what it is. But no, these two songs, they're terrible in my opinion. Lost All Control. I think it's a well-written song. I think production holds this song back more than any other on the album. So we're gonna give it a high C tier. I really want to put it in B because I feel like it has a lot of strong qualities, but because of the way it sounds on the studio album, this is where it has to go. Um, there was a Sirius XM recording of it, and it sounds way better. If it sounded like that, I would put it in B tier, but something just feels really restrained and held back about this song, and like more could have been done with it. You can't even hear Corey's lead guitar work, and these are some of his best like leads on the entire album. And I like what they were going for. I like the atmosphere of the song. I like um, it being anxiety ridden, like lyrically and stuff. I think that's all really cool. Um, yeah, it's just got some production issues that make it almost like unlistenable for me, sadly. And I don't usually get like that about production and shit. I'm usually willing to overlook um, weaknesses. Another thing, and this plagues some of the songs on, but this has been a problem since Poison the Parish, and it was even worse on Parabellum. Even though Parabellum is like my favorite album they do, it it had this one problem. These last 3 albums, and it's because of the self-producing. The snare drum is relentless. It's all you can hear sometimes, and there's no stronger case of that than in this song. It's just will you turn the snare drum down a little bit? It's like it, I think this album, some songs are mixed really well, like "Try to Heal," "Judas Mind." Even though I like "Illusion," that song is mixed terribly. So, and this one as well, "Lost All Control," has a terrible mix, and the drums are they make it unlistenable sometimes. The drums feel so disconnected from the rest of the song on these last 3 albums. One of my favorite songs they've ever done, "Written in Stone" from Parabellum. Um, in the verses, if there's gonna be drums, they should be tame. It's a ballad, but they're just overpowering. You can hear them over the vocal. It's insane. But I digress. Dead on the Vine, it's okay, I guess. I'll put it in C. I think people are overhyping this one a little too much. It has some strong elements. I like the riff. The bridge section's cool with those like harmonics and stuff. That's some nice guitar work. Lyrics are good, but again, lyrics don't really mean anything to me if the song doesn't sound great, and this one just doesn't really do it for me. The chorus is the biggest problem. This is one of the worst choruses on the album because it sounds just like "Keep the Dogs at Bay" from Isolate and Medicaid. It is straight ripped from that song. And when you're ripping off your own deep cuts from 10 years ago, that's not a very good sign. So it's decent, I guess. Um, the scream sections at the end of the song, I don't really like those either. First of all, you can't even hear them. They're so subdued in the mix. So um, I just think it's weak. Maybe I was spoiled by Parabellum because all of those songs are so good, but like other than these 4 songs and Regret, which we'll get to in a minute, these 6, um, they're very weak songs. Lost All Control is written well, but the production makes it suck. So really, we'll just say these 5. Um, it doesn't even sound like they're trying on some of them. So there's definitely disappointment there. But anyways, let's get to Regret. I'll put that in A tier, um, just behind Illusion. Um, I really like the ideas and the concepts in this song. I think the first line lyric in the song, the "I still remember your name, still remember your voice, the smell of your clothes." That's definitely the best lyric in the song, and I wish they continued more on those themes and stuff because it's very specific, and Seether usually doesn't get specific lyrically. It's usually vague and cryptic, and then the rest of the song turned out to be um, oh well. The verses are beautiful. I love that main guitar riff and stuff. Even when it's distorted later on, I thought that was awesome. There's some really good backing vocals in this song, like in the bridge section. And then when he's crying out, "I'm sick of the pain, sick of the shame." Those are kind of generic lyrics, but you can hear the emotion in Sean's voice. So I think that really makes up for it. I have one complaint about the song that prevents it from being higher, because I do think there's a lot of strong work in it. Guess what my complaint's gonna be? Yep, the fucking chorus. It's not like terrible like some of these other ones. It's just it doesn't really pack a punch. And the repetition of the line, "I've seen love pass for hate," I don't think that's a particularly strong line, especially to end the album on. Um, so I do think it could have been better, but I'll take what I can get. It's still a good song, good closer. It's different from the rest of the album, so it gets points for uniqueness. And yeah, it's a pretty enjoyable track overall. But yeah, for me, this would be my ranking of the Surface themes so far. Big difference from Parabellum. Parabellum had no songs in D and F tier. It had Failure and Drift Away in C, and other than that, everything else was in B or higher. These days, I'd probably put Bruised and Bloodied in C as well, because that song's fallen off a little bit for me. But you're talking about 18 songs in B tier or higher, where here, we only got 5 songs in B tier or higher. And even Paint the World and Regret and Illusion, to a degree, these 3 songs, they're good, but I still have some problems with them. These are the only 2 like flawless songs on the album to me. So here's hoping there'll be a deluxe edition. I'm sure there will be. They recorded 16 songs for the album, so let's hope at least 2 or 3 of them get put out um, sometime next year. Um, I hate to be negative and pessimistic, but I'm so glad these 2 songs came out. Let's look for a Seether tier list here. I don't think there's going to be any with the Surface theme so far in it yet. Yeah, there's no image for that. Oh, wow. Is there one with Fragile? I want to put Fragile in here too. Yeah, but there's no Parabellum in here. Man, someone's got to update these more frequently. Yikes. Alright, this is probably the best we're going to do. Alright. Discography ranking. If you watched my last video, you pretty much know my feelings on the albums and stuff, but we'll do it again. Starting with Fragile, we'll put it in B tier. You know, I think in a similar way to the Service team so far, it's kind of a case of really high highs, low lows. There's some songs I don't really care for in here, such as Beer. Some tracks that are just decent, like Stay and Play, but don't really do much for me. Where this album really shines, I think, is when they do the atmospheric and trippy stuff, which they never really did again. Songs like Tied My Hands and Dazed and Abused, and I'd throw Empty in that category as well, even though that's more of a rock song. Those 3 songs are so emotional. And as far as the, Disclaimer originals, some of them are better on here. I think Your Boar and Pig sound better on here. Fine Again as well. But then, like, Driven Under is much better on Disclaimer because it has a dreadful chorus on here. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's consistent all the way through. I think it's basically a demo album, so it does have some moments that, you know, are kind of cringy, but it is pretty strong for a demo album, I'd say, and there's a lot of enjoyment to be had. It's either at their most raw and stuff, and it is really interesting to see where some of the Disclaimer originals came from. So, yeah, good album. I like Fragile. I like the vibe to it. Disclaimer, I'll put an A tier. Um, it's definitely better than Fragile. I think it's more consistent and stuff. Um, there's really not a bad song on Disclaimer 1 anyway, where except for I don't like this version of Fine Again. I think Fine Again was done way better on Fragile. It was a bad vocal take, I think, and it's just they made it really generic on Disclaimer, sadly. So I don't even have the Disclaimer version of Fine Again on my Spotify playlist. And again, I have like every Seether song ever for the most part on there. But yeah, as it stands, I think Fine Again's the worst song on the album, at least with this mix. But everything else is awesome. It has some all-time Seether songs. I mean, Needles, Pride, and Pig are some of their heaviest songs ever. Fuck It Is too, but I don't care as much about that one. It's still a good song, but the other three I just mentioned are better. Driven Under is my favorite song on the entire album. Just a gorgeous piece of melancholy music. Um, Obviously, Gasoline 69T, those are cool. Not my favorite songs ever, but I do like them. Um, this has the original version of Broken, um, which is a nice little tune. I really like Fade Away. I think that's an underrated song. Not a lot of people give that one credit, but yes, it's simple, but a lot of Beatles songs are simple, and they're like one of my favorite bands ever. As far as Disclaimer 2 is concerned, um, I like some of the deluxe tracks, like Sold Me is awesome, Hang On, it's pretty cool. I really like the version of Broken with Amy Lee, actually. That might be controversial, but it does have some not so great songs. I've never been a fan of Love Her, or especially Out of My Way, I think is a candidate for worst Seether song ever. Well, actually, Walls Come Down will always be the worst now, but anyways, let's move on to Karma and Effect. For me, Karma and Effect and Disclaimer are neck and neck. They're not my favorite Seether albums, believe it or not. I think Karma and Effect's marginally better than Disclaimer. Um, Karma and Effect definitely had a heavier road than Disclaimer, but there's not as many ballads and stuff. Pretty much the only ones are like The Gift and Never Leave and Plastic Man, I guess. So that's like 10 pretty heavy songs. Um, this is the only album with Pat Callahan. I think he really adds a lot to the album. I think he's severely underused. I really wish this album got some more guitar solos because, for the most part, every song focuses on rhythm. Like in the majority of these choruses, like Given, World Falls Away, Remedy, Simplest Mistake, they don't have any lead guitar in the choruses. It's just rhythm. So Pat was really underused here. Like they used Corey Lowry way more, and I think Pat Callahan was just a way more skilled guitarist. So that's unfortunate. Talking about some of the cons of Karma and Effect, it's way too long of an album. It ends up being like 55 minutes by the end of the thing, and just the lead guitar work could have been used a little bit better. Some individual songs are way too long. Like World Falls Away did not need to be that long. Same with Simplest Mistake. The Gift goes on way too long. But on the bright side, it's a very heavy album. Songs like Because of Me are awesome. Um, you know, it definitely has a nice style to it. I really like the B-sides that didn't make the album, like Blister is in my top 15 Seether songs easily. Innocence is another great one. Sean screams on like almost every song. So if I'm in the right mood for it, Carmen Effect is awesome. I do think it's a little overrated though. Finding Beauty in Negative Spaces may be their objectively best written album ever. It's going in S tier for sure. There's not a bad song on it. Every single song on it, except maybe Breakdown. I do like Breakdown, but the other 11 or 12 songs, I absolutely love them. And this album has a great guitar tone. Sean, I think, sounds the best vocally here than on any album. I really like the dark feeling of it, but the hopefulness in some songs, like Rise Above This and Walk Away from the Sun. Obviously, this has my favorite Seether song ever, No Jesus Christ. Some of my other favorites on here as well, like Fallen and Don't Believe. It's heavy when it needs to be. It's more delicate at times. I love the guitar layering on this album. There's so many little ambient sounds in the mix and stuff, and it's just a perfectly constructed album. And it was my introduction to Seether, so there's that as well. Holding on to strings better left to fray, I think, gets a lot of unnecessary flack. I'd put it in my top five favorite Seether songs, to be honest. It's a B. The only thing that prevents it from being higher is there's some problems with it. I don't think production's as bad on this album as make it out to be. Like, I think the production on the next album is much worse, and we'll get to that. But um, there's some forgettable songs on here, some kind of filler songs, like especially toward the end, like Fade Out, Down, Desire for Need. I don't care about any of that, but um, this also has Country Song, which, it's an okay little thing, but it's not my favorite song in the world. But so where Disclaimer and Finding Beauty in Negative Spaces have like no filler at all, but this album definitely does. With that said, there's a lot of strong tracks as well, like Here and Now, Master of Disaster, Tonight, all some of my favorite Seether songs ever. Forsaken as well. I love the ballads on this album, Roses, and they're not even necessarily ballads, just more kind of like low key tracks, or like they use elements of like symphonic rock, like Pass Slowly. So I do like that they tried something different. The album's a lot more mainstream. I think at the time people didn't like it because they were concerned that this was going to be their permanent sound. But no, they went back to being heavy like right after this. So this is a nice little moment in time for the band, and I'm very happy they tried it because there's some good stuff on the album for sure. I think Isolate and Medicate's still their worst album. It's worse than the Surface Theme so far. At least the Surface Theme so far has a bunch of songs I like. Well, not a bunch, but like five. But here, I don't know. Other than like Words as Weapons, Save Today, and I really like Turn Around, but that was a bonus track. This album's not that good. I mean, it has a lot of forgettable songs, um, and some pretty like outright bad ones, such as Crash and Watch Me Drown. Those are just terrible. Keep the Dogs at Bay, I'd throw in there too. Just Same Damn Life's kind of a joke as well. So we're talking about like half the album here, pretty much. That's just like subpar. The production's terrible. The guitar tone is neutered. Sean does way too much of that like falsetto. A song that could have been good, like My Disaster, is ruined by the vocals. So no, I don't think very highly of this album. I think it has a few okayish tracks. Like Words as Weapons is an all-time Seether song, obviously, but I can really take or leave this album. Poison the Parish, I'll put a little higher. It's in a C tier now. I really want to like this album, and there's a lot I do like about it, but at the end of the day, Poison the Parish really suffers from being one-dimensional in songwriting, and it feels like more of a statement album, kind of like when Stained had their heavy album in 2011. It's just a lot of these bands in this genre get to a point where they're like mid-career and they're like, oh, we have to show we're still heavy and stuff, and the songwriting suffers as a result. Um, there's still a lot to like here, though. The guitar tone on this album is really good. Emotionless is one of my all-time favorite Seether songs. Take a Minute as well. Anything that like kind of experiments and isn't just a typical rock song on this album, I really like. Sell My Soul would be another good example of that. I think the second half of this album is much better than the first. Tracks 3 through 7 um, are not my favorite Seether songs, and we're talking Something Else, I'll Survive, Let You Down, Against the Wall, Let Me Heal. That might be the worst stretch of any Seether songs on any album that they've done consecutively. So yeah, that's too bad. It's just a step up from Isolate and Medicate. I think it was the album needed to get to the next one. See with Spock and Parabellum, which to me is my all-time favorite Seether album. I mean, I alluded to it earlier, but it's the truth. It's a phenomenal album, and I thought that when the first 13 tracks came out, but then the Purgatory EP came out, I'm like, these are some really deep, intense songs, and then even more so in 2022 when those 5 unreleased tracks came out, like On My Way and Leave Me Be, just fucking perfect songs, and both like probably in my top 10 Seether songs as well. You got Dangerous, Wasteland, Let It Go, Written in Stone, Can't Go Wrong, just to name a few of my favorites. And then there's the heavy ass awesome songs like Dead and Done, Beg, Pride Before the Fall. They were just firing on all cylinders here. Here's another thing about this album compared to Surface Team so far. You can actually hear the bass guitar on a lot of these tracks. Bruised and Bloodied, Dangerous, Buried in the Sand, Dead and Done, Leech, Feast or Famine, Cross the Line. I'm sure I missed a few, but like on those songs, you can prominently hear the bass. Same with Finding Beauty and Negative Spaces. Maybe that's why I like these two albums the best. You can actually hear the bass guitar on them. Or on Surface Team so far, the only bass moment I recall was the intro of Lost All Control. And that's not even that good of a riff. So yeah, I think the lyrics on this one too are better than Surface Team so far. Things are more like direct, which shows an effort in the songwriting and stuff. Where on the new album, a lot of the lyrics are just kind of vague, cryptic bullshit. To be honest, the guitar tone on this album is way better. The only if I had one complaint about this album, I guess sometimes the guitar leads sound kind of samey, like Failure, What Would You Do, Drift Away, Liar. Some of those songs, they all kind of have a similar feel for the Corey Lowry's guitar leads, but I have some complaints about him as a guitarist, but it's not really too much of a detriment to the album. It's still, I think, the best material ever. The other problem is the snare drum, which I talked about earlier, but minor production issues aside, this is a great album. And they don't have the Surface Team so far listed here, but we'll just pretend this is the Surface Team so far because it's pretty much the same color scheme. I'm torn. I don't know whether to put it ahead of Poison the Parish or not. I think I will. I can't deny how good the songs I actually like from the album are. I mean, any Seether album that has two of my favorite songs they've ever done, that's worth something. I can't put it in B tier because it's like there's too much filler, there's too much crap, but I can come. It's only marginally better than Poison the Parish, I think. And I pretty much talked about all the reasons why, so I think I will just end it here. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed my ranking of the Surface Team so far and the Discography ranking. Let me know what your thoughts on the comments on the new album, what your favorite songs are. And I hope you all are enjoying it. I mean, it's obviously to be celebrated anytime Seether has new music. I think that it's great that 25 years later they're still kicking it, doing their thing. And so I can't take that away from them. I'm glad the new music's out because there are some really good songs on it. And God, I hope we get a new one in 2027 and we don't have to wait till 2028. But we'll have to just see what happens. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys.